You were listening to a Nerd Room podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Be sure to check out more from the Star Wars Commonwealth on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things comics and movies. This is episode number 69. We're discussing Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. I'm your host, Tim.
I'm Troy.
And we're finally coming at you guys with our Star Wars Celebration Orlando breakdown. We talked last week about the early reveals, the Luke, the Rey, speculated a bit as to what we thought was going on, and now that we've been able to watch the panels on YouTube, we've been able to see what people were experiencing down at Celebration. We're here to discuss everything from the Rebels trailer to the Hasbro announcements, Rey Book announcements, as well as that major Last Jedi panel. Troy, buddy, how are you feeling coming off the back end of this? I know we weren't there, but I really did feel like we got to experience a lot of what was going on, whether it's through Talk Star Wars, the Skyhoppers, or just on YouTube and everything going on Twitter.
Oh man, this was great. This was a huge step up, a huge improvement from last year's celebration in London. Great coverage all around. Just going on YouTube was great, and obviously keeping up with the Talk Star Wars crew over there and Skyhoppers is really cool to see and hear those guys. They really give you a good feel of what's going on over there. So shout out to you guys, good job. But man, we were in for a treat this year. I think so.
Holy, and we were coming into this and we speculated last week a lot of what we thought was going to be actually announced. And I think to some degree we had this massive expectation set, asking for a standalone to be announced, asking for a reveal on maybe some Han Solo footage, something like this. And I think that they delivered on most things that they promised. I think that we kind of went into this expecting a lot more than they actually gave. But all in all, this is far from disappointing.
Oh, hands down. Yeah, this was a great event to attend. I can only imagine.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. Wouldn't it have been great to have been down there?
For sure.
Just seeing the fans react to the Last Jedi trailer, to what was going on at the 40th anniversary panel. Unbelievable atmosphere I think that they've created around there. And just seeing the show floor from some of the videos that I've seen, again, I really regret not going down, but it's a lot of fun that we still get to experience a lot of it through YouTube or whatever, and kind of live vicariously through the people down there, even though we aren't on the floor.
Yes, it does seem a little, at least, less stress-free on our end.
Yes.
For sure, viewers over here. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to kind of discuss quickly here is that you and I, we don't go to big conventions. We do go to a couple here in Calgary and a few others in slightly other places, but nothing on the scale that Celebration is. And listening and seeing what people are experiencing down there when it comes to the enormous queues and the waiting and the not getting into certain panels, does this kind of change your mindset going into maybe a 2019 Celebration? Like, how would you attack this now with some of this information? Or would you just go full hog into this and just say, look, I'm going for it. I'm going for the big panels, everything, kind of doing the overnight? Or would you kind of step back and maybe look at this and be like, maybe I'll just go to some of the smaller panels, experience the floor, and do it as a Star Wars fandom interaction type event rather than trying to get into every single major panel?
Yeah, you know what? After listening to Talk Star Wars over there, I think I'm going to have to go in a little more casual. Before I was a little more ambitious, thinking I could just go in there and, attack every panel, all the big ones. Now I feel like, because, we're going to have our smartphones and whatnot have you. So I could probably keep up that way through like the big panels. But for the most part, I just want to enjoy it for what it is. If I make some panels, great. If I don't, no sweat, because I'm still there in, well, let's just say California. Right, enjoying the event. If we go in 2019, we are going 2019.
It's happening.
So I think I just go in casual, man. I'm going to be surrounded by all these cool Star Wars fans. I'll just enjoy it for what it is, and everything else. I got the access of YouTube to watch everything. So that's how I'd attack it.
Definitely, and I wouldn't want to say that the guys over at Talk Star Wars or Skyhoppers were negative. They look like they had a blast, and I gotta give a big shout out to my man Rob Cast over at the Roman Podcast. Great show. Go check him out. He also hosts the TSW Roundtable, which is a once a month fan or listener interaction type podcast where we have the Knights of the Commonwealth and other VIPs from the Talk Star Wars crew come in, do a podcast with the listeners, kind of have that live interaction. He was able to grab me the Luke Skywalker X-Wing pilot exclusive there, and he sent me a
Oh,
picture of it, and I'm so excited. I'm so thankful. Rob, if you're listening, thank you so much, man. It's very much appreciated. It's going to have a great place in my collection alongside the other 40th anniversary collection. So thank you to Rob Cass. Make sure to go check him out on the Roman Podcast, as well as hosting over at the TSW Roundtable.
oh, that's awesome, man. So you must have took down quite a bit of cosplayers down there to get that thing, eh?
Oh yeah,
That's
he's
crazy.
elbows
Sweet.
up, shoulders
Elbows
up,
up, eh?
boom, boom.
Fight Club. Nice. Good job, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with you, though. I think looking at even just some of the other slightly larger cons that I've gone to, this whole line waiting thing, I don't think I'm into. I think I'm going to have to be at, like you said, a bit more of a casual con goer. And if I can get into something, fine. And if I can't, you know what? It's okay. We can watch it on YouTube or whatever a little later. It's more about the interaction with Star Wars fandom more so than getting into some of these panels. I say that now, but you know, it might change in 2019 when I'm sitting out there and I'm like, well, I'm here. I've spent the money. Let's just go for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But shout out to those guys, everyone that was down there at the con. The coverage was awesome, especially from the Commonwealth here. Like we said, Talk Soars, Skyhoppers, Rogue Squadron podcast was down there as well. Make sure to go check out all their YouTube videos, all their podcasts are coming off. There's some great live reactions to the Rebels panels and a few other panels that they did attend. So make sure to go check out all the content from the Star Wars Commonwealth over on their YouTube pages and their podcasts that are dropping throughout this week.
That's right. And be sure to check out Commander Cody's new tat.
Oh,
That's looking pretty dope. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're here today to discuss our reactions from Star Wars Celebration Orlando, our reactions from a distance. We were able to get a lot of information here, like I said, from the different people on the floor. But Star Wars, Disney, and a lot of the fan sites did a really good job at putting even photographs up of particular items, especially when it comes to the collecting world. And the Black Series, Hasbro, they are killing it here. We've got over 100 Black Series figures either announced or released to date. And at Star Wars Celebration, they announced a whole slew of others, including some incredible deluxe exclusive sets. And now last week we talked about the Luke Skywalker and Rey, so we're not going to go to too much depth there. But I will say, and I can confirm by looking at the pictures, that the Luke, the Farm Boy Luke that comes with the Landspeeder set, his head sculpt is new. I know you had a big issue with that coming out of the Black Series and the vintage cardback versions.
Yeah. Oh, this is incredible. This one just knocked it out of the park for me, man. The new head sculpt just looks fantastic. I'm definitely gonna get my hands on that. I really feel like Hasbro stepped their game up on these deluxe series. I was never really a big fan of them. Now I'm going after all three of these things. They look incredible.
They look awesome. The Landspeeder is a San Diego Comic-Con 2017 exclusive. So Sanjay, he is going down to San Diego, so I'm going to have a big list sitting with him as well. And I'm going to be throwing American cash at him saying, like, look, man, just wait in the line for me. But I'm hoping that gets a somewhat of a wide release, similar to what we had with the Jabba the Hutt a couple years ago, that came with a slightly different package and a slightly less accessories. And that's a similar fashion to this Thrawn figure that was announced. It was dropped with Timothy Zahn and Dave Filoni on hand at the Hasbro booth. That was the 6-inch figure, so that was enough for me. But then they released this gorgeous exclusive packaging for San Diego Comic-Con 2017. This is a realistic sculpt of the figure, and it's got his office in this packaging. He's flanked by the Calicoris, or the Harris Calicori, some of the relics that we do see in Star Wars Rebels Season 3. What are your thoughts on this incredible Thrawn figure?
Man, this figure killed it. You know, the coolest thing with this figure is they captured like the Timothy Zahn's imagery of the Thrawn we know from the Thrawn trilogy, the original trilogy there, right? He looks very similar to the art back then. So I really like how real he looks, and his collection that he comes with out of his office is fantastic. From the mask that, what's his name? The Inquisitor wore from the Clone Wars is in there. Yep. There's so many goodies. His lizards, I can't remember the name of those lizards that are kind of
I can't remember. It's the Silamari or something like that.
Silamari, right?
Silamari, yeah.
Stops the Force, right?
Yeah.
So those look awesome. Just that's a must-have. Wow.
It's a definite, and it's I think going to retail for about $90 at San Diego, or maybe $50 at San Diego. And it's another one of these pieces that I'm going to be hunting. Like, I don't like going to the secondary market for things, but this is one that will make an exception for, because this looks incredible.
Yeah, it looks super realistic. I can't believe how good that figure turned out. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's so great that they had Timothy Zahn on hand to present this figure to. Oh, it's just so well done. And he was like rock star at Celebration this year. I know Ash over at Skyhoppers ended up getting his autograph on the new Thrawn book. I haven't jumped into that book yet. Have you?
No, I haven't yet. I haven't. I know a couple of guys in the Commonwealth have, polished that book off, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had my chance to get my hands on there yet.
No, so he's having a big presence this year with Rebels, and we see him in the season 4 Rebels trailer, which we're going to discuss in a few minutes here. He's got the book, so everything from collecting through to the books through to TV. If we can only get a live action appearance of this guy, I think it would be complete. Like, they would have fully reintegrated this character back into the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, absolutely. At this rate, they might just do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. And there were a few other surprise reveals at Celebration at the Hasbro panel. One was them showing off the Jaina Solo action figure, the 6-inch figure that was the Fan Choice Award from San Diego Comic-Con 2016. And this is an interesting character because one thing it really does show is that Hasbro is committed to giving the fans what they want. That's why this Fan Choice Award is so cool and so important. And the sculpt looks great on it. She's got the purple lightsaber, which is awesome. And I'm only hoping that we get her twin brother to complete the set sometime down the road. I know they're Legends figures, and they don't usually go down this path unless they're the Fan Choice Awards, similar to we got Darth Revan as well. But it's cool that they're going kind of this deep into the Legends, as well as bringing us all these new characters from around the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. That's a cool looking figure too. Right? All these things look great. It's pretty cool. I mean, you and I both got our hands on Revan, which is cool. So we've got to keep the trend by getting this one. I'm still rooting for a Dash Rendar figure eventually, but yeah, it looks great. I don't really know enough about that character, but just looking at the figure itself, it's a must-have.
Definitely. And it looks like it's going to be kind of dropping periodically throughout the year. We get a lot of these figures probably towards Force Friday, but we're seemingly getting a backlog of not only original trilogy characters, but Legends characters from the prequels that were yet to actually drop into stores, because we also got the announcement of Grand Moff Tarkin, which right now it's so appropriate that he is coming out because, we got him in Catalyst as a supporting role. We've got him in Rebels. We've got him in Rogue One, a surprise appearance there, celebrating the 40th anniversary as well of this character. There's no more appropriate time to bring out a character like this, and the sculpt on it, his face looks incredible. They've captured the iconic facial features that he has there, those cheekbones, right?
Oh man, his whole gear looks good. The boots, the way the pants kind of tuck in, everything looks just perfect. I mean, seeing this figure, I just want to put him side by side with like the Rogue One Episode 4 Vader that's just come out, and just have a whole bunch of stormtroopers behind those two, because he looks so good. He just has to go right beside, Palpatine and Vader. He looks incredible. Can't believe it.
And he comes with the interrogation droid too. Such a nice touch.
Yeah, that's incredible. So is that one an exclusive, or is that one going to hit retail?
That's a wide release.
Wide release? Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
So we're looking at, based on some of the other figures that were announced at Celebration, on top of what we already know is coming with the Emperor's Royal Guard, with Qui-Gon, Lando, Hera, there seems to be another wave that may drop before we see the Episode 8 characters. Because you look at, there's about 6-ish characters that aren't actually part of the Episode 8, and they're kind of lingering out there that aren't part of Rogue One, that really aren't part of Episode 8. So it looks like there might be another wave dropping. I know the Thrawn is dropping in retail as well, just without the exclusive packaging, but that's going to be on Force Friday. So he'll be included in that first Episode 8 wave, I believe, as just kind of a running figure. So usually, you remember back from Rogue One, we had, I think, 4 new figures and 2 repacks. One was Rey, and I can't remember the other, Kylo, I think. Was the other figure.
Kylo.
Yeah, Maskless Kylo. So they had some carry forward characters from the previous movies. So we might see a Thrawn and maybe Tarkin in that first wave on Force Friday, along with, say, a Luke Skywalker, a Rey, a Finn, and some other character.
Yeah, I think even that exclusive Vader might pop up as a standalone. The one that everyone's chasing, the Legacy Pack. I'm pretty sure he's going to come up as a solo $30 retail figure.
Definitely. Yeah. And another figure that they announced that was, again, kind of out of nowhere was what is, I think, close to, if not the 9th iteration of a clone trooper. And this is Clone Commander Gree. And I had to kind of go back and look up who this character exactly was, because I wasn't familiar. I knew it was from Kashyyyk, but apparently it is the clone that Yoda decapitated at the end of Revenge of the Sith, as Order 66 is issued by the Emperor. And the one thing I like about this figure, as opposed to the majority of the other clones that we've gotten, is that the paint applications and the detail on it make it look a lot different. All the other ones are just have variations of reds and yellows on them, the striping, but this is like a full camo clone. This is a pretty cool looking figure.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I haven't really been a big trooper collector, but those troopers are always funny to me because they remind me of Halo, like Master Chief. I always thought they just look like replicas from that video game. But that's pretty cool. I might have to pick this one up, but I also have to somehow find a Yoda to kind of go with it, which is going to be impossible. So
yeah, there's a Black Series Yoda, but
yeah, right. So I know that's cool. That's a shocker too. Actually, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and that's a Toys R Us exclusive. So it's similar to what the hover tank pilot was, and I think it was the commander, the snowtrooper commander from Force Awakens. So these usually hit with a little bit of a higher price point, in the $34-$35 range compared to the $30, just because of the exclusivity. But one thing I would caution here is both of those figures lingered on the pegs for quite some time, and they all saw about a half price discount. So if you're in the running for this Clone Commander Gree, I would maybe hold off on it a little bit because the Toys R Us exclusives just tend to hang out. You can still go and get a hover tank pilot right now, and I always buy them as soon as I see them because I'm under the assumption that these are going to go just quickly. I'm never going to see this again, and they linger. So it's interesting that this Clone Commander could go the same way. So that's going to be kind of my one prediction with this figure, is that maybe wait on it a little bit if you're in the running for this, because you might see this discounted quite heavily, especially online.
Okay, that's a good call. Yeah, you're right for that, because a bunch of those Marvel Legend exclusives too are just sitting in the racks there. Yeah,
they just hang
good
out.
Call. Yeah.
So, and the last one that they did release here before we go back and talk about some of these exclusive vehicles that we did get, was the Inferno Squadron pilot. So this is another one that I wasn't completely familiar with, and the reason being is because they were getting a book later on this year that kind of goes through their origin story. They're kind of like the Empire's answer to the rebels on Scarif. So they're kind of like this elite squadron that goes after Saw Gerrera's crew post Rogue One, I believe. And they're also the focus of Battlefront 2. So this is going to be a GameStop exclusive, or an EB Games exclusive for those in Canada. So this is an appropriate figure because we're going to see them debuting, I believe, in November in Battlefront 2 in a big way there. They're going to be the focus of the storytelling, I believe, of the single-player storytelling or whatever it is. Insert proper game reference there. But it's cool looking. It looks kind of like a TIE Fighter pilot. You do see some elite markings on it with the red, similar to what we saw with the Force Awakens elite TIE Fighter pilot. Again, another cool figure, and something I'm going to look forward to getting at EB Games, because their exclusives, again, seem to hit hard and do get discounted. And the exclusivity of it makes it a little bit more intriguing to me. But again, it looks like mostly a repacked, rebuilt figure from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do a lot of EB game shopping, and I got my my cool Platinum Edge card, so I can't help but take advantage of getting this figure from that store. So I'll definitely get it. I don't know. I might even check out Battlefront 2, because there's a lot of disappointment with Battlefront 1 being how there was no single player campaign story mode. I know that's a big complaint amongst everybody. So I'll be sure to pick up the game and the figure as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm probably doing the same thing. I'll probably come over to your house to play the game.
Of course.
To be honest with you. But I will bring my figure along and then kind of say, yes, I have it right here. So quickly, I know we touched on the vehicles, the 6-inch scaled vehicles that are coming out with the Rey Jakku, as well as the X-34 Landspeeder with Luke. And now that we've seen quite a few more pictures of these, we've seen them from the floor, we've seen some more released from StarWars.com. I just want to get your thoughts, your final thoughts. Are you going to be chasing both of these? I know you said you're going after Luke. Are you going to go after the Rey as well?
Hands down. This line brought me into the vehicle game. Like, I can't wait to display these things. I'm definitely going to pop them open and have those things displayed, because that Luke on that bike is fantastic. And the head mold is really what did it for me, because I hated that tiny head, the raisin head that he had before. Now it's like a proper sized head that's proportioned, and the paint apps look great. And I love Rey's look with the stormtrooper like goggles, but then the mask over top of it. I've always been a big fan of that look, so I'm getting both of those figures for sure. And these ones are going to be worldwide, right? There's no
Well, the Luke, like I said, is going to be an San Diego Comic Con exclusive,
right.
but I'm
Yep.
assuming it's going to drop wide release. I don't really know.
Yes.
I couldn't get a hold of all of the Hasbro panel. There's only bits and pieces that people had filmed, so I don't know
Yep.
if they announced it as a wide release, similar to what we're getting with Thrawn. But my
Right.
expectation is yes, that we'll probably get a wide release on this Luke. And I have to agree with you too. These pictures, like I was always sold on this, but the
Yep.
pictures that they released sold it even more. And just seeing them in scale and against kind of the backdrop of what the people were seeing on the floor with the other figures surrounding it, they looked
Yeah.
awesome. Like you said, the paint applications are on point. The scale looks great. The size. I agree with you too. I'm a mitten box collector. I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull these out.
Nice, nice. You can display it now with your TIE fighter that you got going on too. Right?
Exactly, because
Yeah.
that's one thing I wanted to touch on quick, because that Force Awakens TIE fighter, the first order TIE fighter that we got, there was a price point of about $150. That pushed a lot of collectors out of this 6-inch vehicle scale. And because these are going to be less than $100 and the scale is a lot better, you can actually display them on shelves. I think these things are going to whip off the shelves.
Oh, yeah.
I've been wrong before on this, but I would say pick these up as soon as you see them, because I don't think they're going to last.
So have they ever done these things for Force Friday when it comes to vehicles, or those always come a little bit later?
The TIE Fighter pilot was the first go at these, and
Yeah.
so it did come a little later. So I'm assuming these may fall part of the second wave, but I don't know. They may have the Rey drop with the first wave, being that we're going to Last Jedi. People are
Yeah.
being reminded of this character. Let's think back to the Force Awakens a bit, and because we've had so many different iterations of Rey, we had her in that exclusive Kmart packaging. She's had 2 or 3 different releases in individual waves.
Yep.
But like you said, because they gave her the desert gear, they kind of made it more intriguing to rebuy this character, along, of course, with the Jakku speeder.
For sure, because I think we only got her in the Jakku gear with the mask from the 3 3/4 line. I think.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, she had, I think, 3 3/4, and I think the Jakku mask, the desert gear, came as something that you threw on if you pulled the figure out. So we haven't seen this look in the 6-inch version yet,
Right. Okay.
which is pretty cool. So yeah, I had to say 100% I'm in fully with these, and I hope they continue to produce this size at this price point for these deluxe sets. I think that Hasbro knows exactly what they're doing now. They've kind of figured out a formula for the 6-inch vehicles, and if they just keep going with this, they're going to get my money.
Oh yeah, no, they've been stepping their game up for quite some time now. I'm loving this. Yeah.
Yeah. And another announcement that they made at the Hasbro panel was one that was somewhat expected. I had kind of made the prediction that they're going to announce an expansion of the 40th anniversary 6-inch vintage cardback line. That didn't happen, but they did announce the return of the vintage collection in the 3 3/4 inch scale. Now, this is the vintage cardback in the 3 3/4 inch scale figures, but the figure's going to be highly articulated. So I think they're going to be a lot more like the Walmart exclusives that we're getting, with the elbow joints, the ankle rockers, kind of more swiveling arms, swiveling shoulders. So they have a lot more posability to them, and their sculpts are maybe a tiny bit better. My fear is with these, and because I do like the vintage cardback look, is that they're going to be running at this $14 price point that we see the Walmart exclusives running at. At least that's here in Canada, as opposed to the cardbacks they have right now with the 5 POA that are only $7 to $8 to $9, depending on where you're picking them up. So that extra, you're doubling your price here in Canada for those figures, and I'm wondering if that's going to turn off a lot of collectors. Are you interested in this line at all? I know you don't collect the 3 3/4 inch, and the only figure that they have announced to date is going to be a Rey, and that's on a Force Awakens vintage style cardback. So it looks pretty cool, but again, it's a figure we've seen multiple times in this 3 3/4 inch line. It's just going to be highly articulated.
Interesting. Okay, so they did show the pictures for this new one for the
There was a video up on YouTube that shows kind of this nostalgic video montage that they did at the panel. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it, just go type it into YouTube. It's really, really awesome what they did there. It's kind of got the Force Awakens original trailer theme music to it, and it goes through a bunch of different imagery from the Force Awakens, as well as it pulls in a lot of the old Kenner commercials. And so it kind of really hits you in the feels there. Like it gave me a great feeling. It made me want to jump straight into the store to buy this. And it was that. And at the end, they kind of just showed the kind of a rotating kind of figure that turned out to be Rey, and it shows the actual packaging. But these aren't hitting until spring 2018. So you got a year to decide if you're going to jump into this or not.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see. I mean, the detail, if the detail's a little bit better and there's more articulation, that's pretty cool. But, I think I'm probably going to stick with the Black Series, and I kind of start hopping on the Infinity 3.0 line of these Star Wars Disney figures for some
Yeah.
reason. So that's kind of another path I've walked down over Celebration. So I'll probably skip out on the 3 3/4, but I'll always be checking out your collection over Studio A there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to probably be getting at least the first couple of waves of these. The problem is with the highly articulated figures is that I'm a mitten box collector, so I'm not pulling these out. So whether they're 5 POA or highly articulated, it doesn't really matter to me. It's about the card back. It's about the look on the shelf. And so if these are running $15, I'm going to be probably more of a pick and choose my favorite characters as opposed to being all in on this line.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for the in-box collectors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one thing that we're going to kind of miss based off of the release of this podcast, at least they did announce with that they're doing a 3 3/4 inch fan choice award for this line. And so we know the Rey, and the idea was that let the fans choose the next figure that's going to be dropping in this line. So the initial kind of voting went from April 15th through the 19th. And this was on a whole slew of fan sites. Go check out StarWars.com to check those out. But there'll be a finalist from April 26th to the 30th posted on StarWars.com. So you can go in and choose which figure or vote for which figure you want to see next. And this has to be a figure that's never been in any sort of action figure line. I went and nominated actually 2 figures from the Aftermath trilogy. I nominated Admiral Ray Sloan as well as Mr. Bones. You don't really know because you haven't read the Aftermath, but these are 2 characters I really like in that. So I'm trying to go a little bit more obscure. We'll see what pops up on StarWars.com through the 26th into the 30th for voting. But yeah, it's a cool way. It's the same way that Jaina Solo kind of came about. People kind of go and reach into obscurity and try to bring these figures in. And it's going to be on the vintage card back. So it's going to be a pretty cool look. So I'm excited about that.
Man, that's cool. Well, shoot, I'll throw in there Thane. Give me Thane from Lost Stars. I'd like to see what this character looks like. So yeah, I'll throw in Thane. It'd be cool if it goes to a person from a novel too, right? Because we don't really have an idea. We have an idea, but we don't know what they really look like. So that'd be cool if you got something out of the novels.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to kind of bring some of these characters in. I think they've released some imagery of Nora Wexley and Admiral Ray Sloan, what they actually look like.
Yes,
or
right.
some interpretations of them. So it'd be cool to see them in action figure form as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we've just spent half an hour gushing about action figures. We got a lot more to get through here. Cool. Let's jump quickly into the books and comics. So there are quite a few panels over the weekend discussing Marvel Comics as well as Rey Books and other books that are be coming out in the Star Wars canonical universe. And some of the ones that I'm really excited about, and a character I'm really excited about, is Captain Phasma. This is one of the most underutilized characters in The Force Awakens, and she's getting a huge push in this new Journey to the Last Jedi line. Similar to what we had with The Force Awakens with the release of a ton of books on Force Friday, we're getting the same thing for The Last Jedi. And Phasma seems to be, at least from the initial announcement of books here, the focus. We're getting a 4-issue Marvel Comics miniseries on her. And this is picking up right after the events of The Force Awakens. So we're going to see how she escaped Starkiller Base. And it's one of these 4-issue series that you and I really like and we really asked for. It's a character I really wasn't expecting, but I'm super stoked about it. What are your thoughts on Phasma's comic book?
Oh, comic book, I'm totally in. I think a 4-part miniseries just suits her so well for this character, especially to bridge that gap between episode 7 and episode 8. Because I felt like the character didn't get enough justice served in episode 7. I feel like we the fans wanted more. They marketed her, they gave her a hard push in marketing, thinking that we're going to be getting the new Boba Fett basically out of this character, but we didn't. So I like the fact that we're getting a comic book and a 4-part miniseries. We respond pretty well to those. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, and she's also getting a novel adaptation by Delilah S. Dawson. Now, she is somewhat of a veteran. She did a book called The Perfect Weapon, which was, I didn't really read it. It was kind of another one of these lead-ins to The Force Awakens. But she's writing a book called Star Wars Phasma. And there's not a lot of details on this, but my assumption is going to be that it's going to be a bit more of an origin story on Phasma. So we're going to see her rise through the ranks of the First Order, as well as how she acquired that chrome armor. That's a speculation and a prediction. That seems like a story that needs to be told. Now, whether they choose to do that in the film or in this book, I'm excited either way. I love what they're doing in the Star Wars literature right now, and adapting a character like this, giving us a bit more depth, is super exciting.
Yeah, this one I don't know if I'm gonna get into it. I do like the comic aspect of this character to see, and I would definitely like to see her more fleshed out in the movies. As for a whole novel, I don't know if I could spend that much time on her. So I think I'm going to pass on this one.
All right. Well, I'm there. I'll let you know if this is a read
Yes,
or
for
not,
sure.
for
The
sure.
scoop. Yes.
And another couple characters, and this is very appropriate for the 40th anniversary here, is we're going to get a Luke Skywalker book. It's called Star Wars The Legends of Luke Skywalker. And again, not much was released on this, but you look at the cover art that was released, and we got a few images of Luke Skywalker. There's some stuff from Empire, and there's an old man Luke there as well. My hope is this is going to be telling some of the tales that we have not gotten in between Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens timeline. He's been almost completely absent from all of the canonical storytelling up until this point. We haven't seen him in any of the books. He's not present in Aftermath other than a few drop references. He's not in Bloodlines. He's in really none of the comic books that kind of take place at Poe Dameron or anything like that. So I'm excited and hoping that this just isn't a retelling of some in-between stories that we've already kind of seen or we've gotten in different kind of comic book iterations or something like that. Any speculation on what you think this book could be about?
This one's a tough one, because with the current comics right now of Star Wars, they're covering between episodes 4 and 5, right?
Yeah.
So for them to do, let's say, a book that takes place between 30 years between episodes 6 and 7 would be kind of ballsy because I really want a movie. I really want a movie of Luke as opposed to a book. I'm definitely going to get it. It's Luke Skywalker, right? But I just don't know what to expect from this book. I have no idea what they could be telling. It would make sense if they're telling, stories after, I guess, Shattered Empire. And between Shattered Empire and episode 7 would make sense. But I really just don't know. I'm still rooting for a Sebastian Stan Luke Skywalker film. So
definitely.
Who knows? Who knows?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's a must-have, though. It's Luke Skywalker. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. I think it's also a young reader's book, or a young adult book. I might be wrong on that one.
That's right. It's because it's the road to The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah, so don't quote me on that. So that might make it a bit more of an easy read, something you can kind of plow through in a couple different listenings.
There's not many other stories you can tell, for Luke, really,
no.
Right? You have stuff after episode 7 and then between episodes 6 and 7.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because he's going to have a big presence in The Last Jedi, they need to start to build up this character more. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of mystery around him. If they can start giving us a few of these like tidbits leading into The Last Jedi, it gets people thinking about Luke Skywalker more. There's less uncertainty going into this character. And we're going to get a lot into the trailer in a few minutes here. Yes. But I think this book will serve as a good prelude to his character, making his presence felt in The Last Jedi. And the next big book that they did announce that I'm super excited about is by Claudia Gray. She's one of my favorite Star Wars writers right now, and she's doing a book called Star Wars Leia, Princess of Alderaan. This is going back and looking at the early life of Princess Leia into the spark of the rebellion to steal a line from Star Wars Rebels. Like, Claudia Gray coming back, you must be as excited as I am to see her back and writing Leia as well.
Oh, for sure. If you guys have been listening to us for a while now, you'll know probably at least every 2 or 3 months I'll throw in, maybe even every month, I'll throw in a Claudia Gray push. She's fantastic. If you tell me you're going to do a Princess Leia book, a novel, you got to go Claudia Gray because she gets this character so well. She did this character such justice in Bloodlines, and she's a great writer. She did, Lost Stars there too, so I can't wait to see what she does here. I think she's just going to smash it. This is honestly my most anticipated book coming out of Celebration once they made this announcement.
Yeah, it's up there for me. As soon as you stick Claudia Gray as a writer for a Star Wars book, I'm there. And like you said, like she executed and wrote Leia flawlessly in Bloodlines. Yes. And it's going to be so great to see her kind of capture her voice from her early years. So we did get kind of that early appearance in Star Wars Rebels, so I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but that's easy to work into. But man, this is going to be a great read. This is another one of these young adult novels, so it's going to be somewhat shorter, which is good. These are novels you can chew through in a couple of days as opposed to the 17-hour marathon that is Thrawn.
Yes.
This gonna, I'm super excited about that book, don't get me wrong, but sometimes having something that you can kind of chew into with good, concise writing, it's a lot of fun to get into. And with a character like this and Princess Leia, just with everything that's happened this year, I think Claudia Gray is the appropriate person to bring Leia's voice back into kind of the Star Wars literature again. Like, she's a 1-2 use for this because of how well she did in Bloodlines.
Yeah, right there with you, man. And how cool it'd be too, going off of Lost Stars. Little minor spoiler if you guys haven't read the book there, but how cool would it be in this new novel if we get to see her kind of come up to that moment when she crosses paths with Thane there. I think it's like a gallery,
Yes. Oh man,
gathering of some sort,
you just blew my brain apart. That
right?
has to
How cool
happen in
that
this book.
has to happen. Yes,
Like
yes,
it's such a little nod. Like yeah, it's some sort of ball or whatever, and she's dancing.
right. Well,
Yeah.
gala of some sort, right?
Oh man, that is
So
for
cool.
sure gonna be in this book.
I hope so because the timeline would match up perfectly.
Yes, it
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Like she has to reference her own characters.
Right, of course. Bring them
Ah,
back.
dang. Oh man, so
Yeah,
excited for what's coming out in the Star Wars literature. Like, there's a whole bunch of other smaller books that were released as well or announced as well, but I think these were the kind of the four big ones and the four that
sure.
I thought that we were probably going to be chewing into. And I think they're the four that are going to add the most to this lead into the Last Jedi. I think for the most part, all of them are somewhat necessary. I don't think they're going to be like a catalyst type book where you kind of need to read this to really get a relationship like you had to with Krennic and Galen Erso. I think
Right.
these are going to be more supplemental and building up some of the characters. Like I don't think they're going to be hinging the movie on any of this, but at the same time, it's great to get some of these legacy characters, some of these the two of the big three kind of expanded a bit more, and then we get Han Solo in a movie next year. So they're really playing again with this timeline. And I'm super excited to get these books and get them in hand. I got a big stack right now that I'm backlog big time here, and we're getting to the point where it's almost difficult to keep up with everything. But I think at some point I just gotta kind of get into it, grind it out, and just go for it. All right, man. Let's skip over to the silver screen here. We had two humongous trailers drop. One being the Star Wars Rebels Season 4 trailer. This is something that we were anticipating. And listening over to the Skyhoppers, they did show the first episode of Star Wars Rebels Season 4. Not many spoilers coming into that. They kind of weren't talking about much, but I think it is a Mandalore episode. But Dave Filoni, he was out the day before I think this actually dropped. And one thing I just want to touch on quick here is they released him and Pablo Hidalgo. They released that graphic of Captain Rex.
Yes.
Looking like the Return of the Jedi character. So they're slowly bringing that kind of that little bit of a tie. There's a white bearded man in Return of the Jedi that goes down to Endor with Leia and Han. And people have been saying, this is Rex. And the uniform that he's getting in Rebel Season 4 looks exactly like this. This is something that you've been calling for a while. I've always been a bit skeptical on, but you've always supported this.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool to see that this has come true, and I just think it's so creative of those two to put something together like this and just finalize that. And we know for sure now that we have a Syndulla Hera that makes it out, and we know that we have Rex that makes it out. And it's cool that a clone has been around that long. Like when you think about it, Return of the Jedi Rex has been around since Attack of the Clones. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's seen basically the start to finish of everything,
right?
Which is awesome. Awesome.
Good stuff.
And when Filoni was out there for the main Rebels panel, one thing that he did announce that I was actually quite shocked at was that this was going to be the final season of Star Wars Rebels. And that kind of breaks my heart. I've really gotten into this show, especially after the season 2 mid-season finale. Like, ever since then, I've been 100% into this show. And it's become one of my favorite Star Wars viewing experiences. And to see now this show coming to an end, like we've been speculating for quite a while on our after shows about what they could be doing. Is there characters they can pull through into the original trilogy timeline, similar to what they look like they're doing with Hera? But with Filoni's comments there, as well as this trailer is very conclusive in nature. There's a lot of past tense speaking, especially with the voiceover we get from Hera at the start of this. And what are your thoughts hearing that Star Wars Rebels is coming to an end?
Yeah, I kind of been embracing it. I've been expecting it for a little bit, actually, thinking that this was going to be the final season. I'm okay with that. And like Dave Filoni said, I believe he said this at least, but it makes sense because he can actually put an ending to the series that he started. With the Clone Wars, unfortunately, he didn't get the opportunity to have a proper conclusion to that series. So it makes sense that he gets to wrap things up, and that's going to be good. But yeah, I'm ready for this. I can't wait to see what happens. I think for sure this means someone is going to die. For sure. Like, I know I said it last season, but for sure someone's passing. I don't think Kanan's making it out this season. I really love the voiceover of Hera in this trailer. I thought that was fantastic. It's not my favorite trailer. Last year's trailer blew me away with the Thrawn reveal.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do think probably midwinter break we're gonna get some big reveals. I think that's gonna be the bigger trailer actually. So.
Yeah, this looked like it was probably from a couple of episodes.
Yes,
what
like the
they
first 3 or 4.
yeah, it didn't look like they're showing much more than that, because there's a lot of talking here about Lothal, and you see a couple Mandalorian shots, and based off what was kind of leaked there as far as at least the episode title, it looks like this is probably from, I would say, the first 3 or 4 episodes, like you said there. So there's a lot to come in this. But that voiceover that you mentioned, this is, I have to agree with you that this isn't my favorite trailer because it's not as big as some of the other ones, but it really captured a lot for me. This voiceover by Hera, I really like the start of it. Like I'm going to quote it here a little bit, is it was a simple story about a boy who was lost and a girl who was broken. They fought alongside a survivor, a war vet, and a fallen knight. We never imagined that it would end like this. Like, that is fairly conclusive, and it's all past tense, right? And
Yes.
it looks like Hera is going to be a big focal point of this season just based off this trailer. And I think that's an appropriate thing to do. It sounds like she's almost telling the story of Star Wars Rebels from post Battle of Scarif or something like that, right?
Yes, yes. It almost feels like that all along. This whole season has been, this whole show has been her story.
Yeah.
It's not Ezra's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in just some of the imagery that we do see in this. Well, let's just jump straight into my favorite part here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to delay this very much longer. We do see Yavin, we do see Y-Wings, and man, we see the freaking X-Wings.
Oh, awesome.
Coming out of hyperspace like that. Incredible. I'm slightly disappointed that I didn't get this like wow factor while watching, but at the same time, I get it in this trailer. The fact that they're bringing X-Wings in here finally, Filoni said he was going to do it. I thought it was going to be at the end of season 3. This is going to be a cool reveal to exactly how they get the X-Wings, where they come from in season 4. I'm really excited for this aspect of season 4 here.
For sure. And I mean, I know X-Wings is like your jam. Like,
yeah.
you loving the X-Wings. So when I saw that, I was like, I know Tim's losing his mind right now because you've been anticipating that ship for so long. A big thing, though, Ahsoka.
Yes.
Ahsoka, because Dave Filoni's shirt. Did you see the difference between his shirt?
I did. That was really cool what he did there. He had the question mark before the trailer and the exclamation mark after the trailer. I'm still in the camp of Ahsoka died with Vader. Right. What are your thoughts on interpreting what Filoni was meaning there? Was he screwing with us? Was he actually trying to tell us something? Like, this is his character, right? This is his baby. What do you think he's meaning with all that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny because with Rebels, I love Rebels, what they've done. But if you listen to our Rebels Alert after show, one of my biggest complaints with the season finale was what they did with the Bendu. I didn't like what they did with the Bendu. And it seems like Dave Filoni has been kind of playing it a little bit with like things that are a little more powerful than the Jedi in some sorts, things that are a little too big. And what I've been hearing and speculating is basically that Ahsoka might come back as a wolf. And I know that sounds funny.
You see that wolf in the trailer, right?
You see the wolf in the trailer. You see in the concept art that Ahsoka is surrounded by a bunch of wolves.
Yeah.
If you look at Ahsoka's like head, I don't know, like the tentacles of someone, the pattern in that is the same as that wolf. And the wolf's carrying, I think, Ezra and Kanan. So we don't know if she's kind of come back as this wolf of some sort, but we all know that Filoni's favorite thing is wolves, and his favorite thing as well is Ahsoka. Putting those two together. So I don't know. I'm not in the realm of like reincarnation in Star Wars. I don't really know, but if anybody could do it, it's Filoni, and it has my interest. So I just don't know.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to see it in the trailer because you have all this great Star Wars imagery that kind of the music swelled there. They did a really good job with the score in that trailer. And then you get into this wolf kind of coming out of the first, I guess, 45, 50 seconds of old footage. And then the first thing you see from season 4 is, I think it was actually Ezra and Sabine on the wolf.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay. Yes.
And that kind of threw me for a loop here. But I kind of did some digging and I saw some people referencing this. I wasn't completely aware of this wolf thing. Filoni's kind of love for wolves and all this. And it's different. It's not what I would expect from Ahsoka, but it still does fit into this, Ahsoka did die in the Vader fight. I think that was an appropriate end for that character. Now, whether she's reincarnated into something different, that's cool. Like you said, Filoni seems to be playing with something a bit bigger in scale when it comes to the Force in Star Wars Rebels, in the Star Wars universe. And so if he wants to bring these elements in, I'm cool with that. The Bendu, the last episode was a bit different with what happened there, but kind of bringing this in, I think it just has to be executed properly. And I think Filoni, like you said, if anyone can do it, it's him. He did bring that element of the Bendu in, which I think is still going to come to play in season 4, because
Yeah.
you said that Kanan's gonna die. I would have to agree with you, but maybe less die and more transforms into something different. I have this feeling that we're just going to see Kanan fully embrace the Force in a manner that
Cool.
puts him out of the physical world and into maybe of somewhere in the middle. Like, could he become the next Bendu or something like that? That's the
Interesting.
type of feeling I get from Kanan. I don't feel like he's going to be, a character that dies swinging his lightsaber. I think that's more appropriate for Ezra, but I feel like Kanan, he's become somewhat of a pacifist. Well, I don't know if that's the right word, but just because of his embrace of the Bendu and what we've seen over the last season since he's been blinded, I think there's a lot more there. Because there's even a quote in there too where he was talking to Ezra about them being the balance.
Yes.
And this fits again into what we saw in the Last Jedi trailer. Like, there's a lot of this balance, this almost gray area, or there's something different about Kanan. And I just don't feel like he's going to be, die in a fight with Thrawn or with someone else. Like, I think it's more about him embracing something bigger and almost just kind of like poof, disappearing. And then he's the new Bendu. Like, there's something there for me. I don't know what it is, but I don't think Kanan's going to die in kind of the normal sense of a Jedi death.
That's so cool that you bring that up, because Freddie Prinze Jr. himself, the one that voice acts Kanan, I believe he said in season 1, he's gone through different mentors. And season 1, I believe he said is the Inquisitor, and then season 2 he said is actually Maul, and then season 3 he says it's the Bendu.
Yeah.
So that's actually really neat that you bring that up, because I could actually see him kind of go that route and take on the next mantle of the Bendu. I really like that idea. That's cool.
And we even get some looks at Saw Gerrera. He's going to be coming back to Rebels. I think that's great. He's seemingly grown quite a bit of hair, which gives us kind of a bit of timeline, how much time has passed. I would say at least 6 months going into this.
Yeah, because Callus has the beard going on now.
Oh yeah, like, it's funny. You listen over to Ashore at Skyhoppers, and she started talking about the hot Callus hashtag or something going around like that. Like, he's got like this flowing locks. He's got a full beard. He's looking all rebel and rugged. This kid, he looks. It was kind of shocking to go from kind of this, straight cut Imperial. Now he's kind of like this like rugged bad boy.
Yeah, he got his hands on some Nickelback over the 6 months.
It's good to see both those characters back, and I hope we get a little bit more depth into what pushed Saw Gerrera over the edge, as well as how he got his cybernetic legs and kind of how he ended up with his look in Rogue One, because we're going to be pressing up right against that, and they have to explain that a bit, and I think Rebels is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll go that route, Rebels, explaining his legs, or if we'll get it in that book, because we do have that other book still coming out with Jin and Saw Gerrera.
Saw, yeah. But we know that by the end of that book, he still must have his legs, because in season 3 he still had his legs, I think, right? Yeah.
Oh, so does this book take place before we saw him in season 3, or does it take place kind of between those, like before season 3 and after?
I'm not sure how much is jumping around there, but it does take place when him and Jin are together, I believe.
Right. Okay. So Rebels should explain
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, what's gone on there. And so whether that's something to do with Thrawn, that would be kind of a cool opposition of character to do. There's a lot they can do with that character in Rebels right now, and I think he's a character that is popping up kind of everywhere, and I think this is the place to do it, to explain how he, even if it's kind of implied or off camera, because it still is a kid's show. I think it's cool to fill in kind of that canonical material with Saw Gerrera.
That's right, because they did tease it before. We did see that little missile kind of go.
I thought that was happening when they threw the bomb at his feet. I was like, oh man, here we go.
Yeah.
And one other character that popped up here a couple times that I thought was really cool was Rook. Now, this is a character, a Nogri, from the Thrawn trilogy. This is the character that was kind of gray. He kind of had the ridged forehead. This is the bodyguard from the Thrawn trilogy. And spoilers for the Thrawn trilogy, Rook is the one that actually kills Thrawn in that book. I don't think that's going to happen here, but it's really cool that we're going to see this character in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, I think that's cool, because I think we were playing around with the idea before that Callus was going to take on the kind of role that character did in the Thrawn trilogy. So that's cool that they brought him in here, because he's kind of he's like the bodyguard assassin kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be cool to see, and he's voiced by
Warwick Davis.
Yes. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, he's cool. He's again, he's kind of like an R2 C3. Like, he's been present in a lot of. I think his first, he was Wicket in Return of the Jedi. And so he's been present in everything. He was in Episode 1. He was in Rogue One, I think. He was in The Force Awakens, playing different characters. And he seems to come out and host everything.
He's
with
a great
the panels.
host.
Yeah.
I really like what he does. Yeah.
Just before we stop talking about Rebels to jump into The Last Jedi here, I want to quickly run down a list. And I can't remember if we did this or not on our after show, but we're going to do it here again now, seeing the Season 4 trailer, to see if our opinions have changed, or to kind of state our upfront opinions before going into Season 4 of Rebels, which is going to be next fall. So we're going to probably do this again. But I'm going to run down a few people. You're just going to say lives or dies, or if there's something else you think, kind of like Kanan, just state it. I'm going to start off here with Sabine.
Sabine, lives.
Lives, I agree. Hera.
Lives.
Lives. Chopper.
Lives.
Lives, yes.
Yeah.
Zeb.
He's going to bite it.
I agree. Callus.
He's going to bite it.
Yeah, I agree. Thrawn.
He's not going to make it out either.
No.
I don't know how they're going to do it, but I don't see him going past Season 4.
Seeing Callus now, I'm more on board than I have ever been with him killing Thrawn, actually.
Yeah, I think so, right?
They seem to have planted the seeds for that.
Right.
How about Ezra?
Ezra's for sure going to make it through.
You think so?
Yeah. I think he's for sure. I think they're building this character up. I think there's a lot they're going to explore with him down the road. What do you think? I'm interested now.
I think he's going to die.
You think he's going to die this season?
I think I think both of them have to go. But like I said before, I think Kanan's going to become something different, something bigger. Right. And I think Ezra's going to be the one that actually dies. It's just the way the Hera voiceover was, and it's been about him. I think it's a start and finish with Ezra. I think that's the way to go. I don't know if they can keep him alive because he's younger, and because we've seen Kanan, like I said, he's taken such a left turn out of the kind of your normal Jedi Master sort of mold. I think that he can get away with not dying. I think that Ezra has to be the one that bites it here.
Oh, okay. Is it because he's a Jedi? Like he's a Force sensitive? Is that why you think more so?
Yeah, and he seems to be fairly powerful when he does actually use the Force. And I just don't think you can have someone that young be present throughout the OT and not be in the rebellion. I know we've tried to explain away a few times that you could have other things going on in the background away from the Battle of Yavin, away from Echo Base, where these characters are present. By the time we get to Return of the Jedi, this is kind of like the Rebellion Last Stand, right? All hands on deck for this. And why we don't see some of these characters, you can get away, you can write out Hera and Chopper and even Zeb and that they were on one of the ships fighting outside of this Death Star number 2. But you can't get away from having Ezra. By that time, he's 6 years older, right? So he's into his late 20s or whatever. He should be a pretty powerful Jedi by this point.
He should be.
And Yoda and Obi-Wan should know about him. Obi-Wan knows about him.
They do. Yeah, both Yoda does too. Yoda and Obi-Wan do. Yeah.
So that's why I think he's got to die.
Right, yeah.
But it's exciting, man. We're going to get this season here in September, I think. It's last season. We're going to be back discussing it. I'm super excited for that.
One last thing, actually, because with this wrapping up, we are getting another animated series.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be, though.
Don't know, eh? Any speculations, no ideas?
I just don't know what they can do next. I'm feeling that they're going to pick up coming out of A New Hope for some reason. Or maybe not even out of A New Hope, because they're doing the comic books in there, so they're going to step all over that. I don't know where they can pick up. I think it's going to be something with the big three, though. I just have this feeling that we're going to get some sort of TV show with the characters that everyone's familiar with. I don't know what they can do. Even the Aftermath characters would be kind of cool to pick up in the TV show, but it'd be a lot like Rebels.
Yeah, that's true.
So
We'll see.
Anyways, man, there was a little bit of a trailer that dropped on the Friday at the Last Jedi panel. Did you have a chance to watch this trailer or this panel on YouTube?
No, I'm staying away from everything Last Jedi, so I avoided this trailer. No way. No, of course not. No, this is crazy. I've watched this thing more than I've watched the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer and the Ragnarok trailer combined.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Oh, yeah.
So crazy. Good. The panel was fantastic to watch. It was hosted by Josh Gad, who's the one that's been giving Daisy Ridley a hard time on the new set of their movie. The interaction of the characters was great. Rian Johnson seems like an awesome director. They had the whole crew out there. I love what they did here, and I saw some of the fan reaction from inside of the main hall that they showed this in. People were going bananas, as was I when I watched this. I was actually on an airplane when this dropped, and I had just landed in Toronto. I'm out to see my family. That's why if We should have probably mentioned this at the start of the episode, but huge caveat. If our audio sounds funny, it's because this is our like fourth attempt at trying to do a Skype call-in recording for the Nerd Room here. And hopefully this time it works, because I hope we don't have to re-record this. But anyways, if the audio sounds funny, that's why. But I got off a plane. I had a whole ton of Twitter notifications saying, oh my God, have you seen this? Have you seen this? First thing I did, pop my headphones in as soon as we got on the ground and watch this on my phone. I always watch these for whatever reason on my phone. I finally got back to my parents' place, watched it on TV. Holy crap, man. I just got to hear your overall first thoughts on this trailer, and then we'll jump into a little bit more depth as we run through it over the next 10-15 minutes or so.
Yeah, full body chills, man. This was crazy. This was absolutely crazy the whole time, and I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times out there. But when Luke's saying "just breathe," he was talking to me, because I was just like, "Holy crap! This is incredible." We get words from Luke. We get so much in this trailer. I feel like some people say, "Oh, we didn't get that much." No, we got like a lot without them giving it away. Without Spider-Man: Homecoming all over the place. They really gave it to us here. So, man, this was crazy. I'm so glad we got this trailer. Love it. Love it.
Yes, I agree. Like, it gives you so much with so little. Yes. Like, having this voiceover, like the fact that we didn't ever get Luke speaking in The Force Awakens, and he is the one that speaks the most in this first trailer, is awesome. And his quote here, starting off with "breathe, just breathe, now reach out, what did you see?" Like, he sounds incredible. Like, I'm just talking about it, I've got full body goosebumps right now. Like, he sounds like an old Luke Skywalker. Like, Mark Hamill is a genius.
Brilliant voice actor this guy is. He's a brilliant actor, but we all know what incredible work he can do with his voice. Right?
Yes. And what did you think of Rey answering back, after he says, "What did you see?" Light, darkness, a balance. And then he says, "It's so much bigger." Haunting words here.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, clearly they're going a different route with the Jedi. I think they're pulling one over us where, we all have the idea of the Jedi, that they're the light. And I feel like they're doing something so much more different with the Jedi. I feel we're going a different route with these characters, because the world we live in now is a little more gray. It's not so happy. It's not so black and white. And I feel that's what they're going to pick up on here with the Jedi themselves. They're going to kind of transcend it with the times that we're going through right now. And we're in for something really big here. Absolutely.
Are you okay with them kind of taking what we know as far as the light, the dark, kind of this very binary look at the Jedi, at the Sith, and doing something completely different with it? Like, this is going far away from what we know as far as the Jedi and Sith. And for me personally, I'm going to embrace this fully. I think this is a really cool way to evolve these characters, to evolve the Jedi Order. We saw a lot of it in the prequel trilogy, exactly what the Order was. We saw the remnants of it in the original trilogy, and I think we're going to see something brand new come out of it, because when you look at this, and we've been talking about this for a while, when even going back and looking at when they first announced it was called The Last Jedi, you and I have been embracing and speculating about this whole gray idea, this finding balance, this evolution of the Jedi. And I think this trailer points us in that direction. It could be a massive misdirect, but I don't think they're going down the simple path of we're just going to rebuild the Jedi, the whole order once again, even though it's failed twice now that we're kind of aware of, right? I don't know. This, like, some people are talking about Dark Side Luke, or like the idea that what they're doing with the Jedi, what Rian Johnson is doing, is going to be so different than what we've seen in the past that it might kind of turn us a bit away from Star Wars. But I think this is such a cool way to evolve Star Wars into something different. Like, you look at The Force Awakens, we saw a lot of parallels to A New Hope. I think this movie is going to be the breakout and the changing into this brand new trilogy. Like, this is going to be the movie that shifts seismically this whole franchise into something different, something that can be carried now for another 6 movies or something to that effect.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they very well can do that. And I do know Rian Johnson is a big fan of the prequels. He actually likes the prequels. So I feel like this could tie on a lot of tissues from the prequels, such as, Qui-Gon kind of walked that gray line as a Jedi. Anakin always questioned the ways of the Jedi. So I feel we could kind of pull off those things and really, get a concrete story here as some really cool new lore for the Star Wars universe. I'm totally excited for this. Who knows though, with Luke's last lines, we don't know if that could be him, just quoting something from some ancient books.
Yeah.
There's speculations that those books could be from the Guardians of the Will.
Yeah, the Journals of the Will,
the Journals of the Will, right? And the tree there, it could very well be from Shattered Empire. If you read those books, you have those books there. That could be the Force tree right there, which would be phenomenal. So man,
yes, it's. I want to read you something here just quickly. Yes. So the Journal of Wills was canonized in the Force Awakens novelization. Okay. So there's a quote actually from it here, and I'm going to read it quickly here. It says, this is from the opening scroll of the Force Awakens novelization. It says, "First comes the day, then comes the night. After the darkness shines through the light. The difference, they say, is only made right by resolving of gray through refined Jedi sight." So this is kind of a really cool quote, and what this points me towards is exactly what we're talking about here. Yeah. This is not an accident that this quote from the Journal of the Wills is in the novelization of The Force Awakens. It's really cool. I think it's something that we're going to have to go back and relook. And I think we're going to have to do that with a lot of this trailer and a lot of what we talked about today, is that we try to crack off these episodes in a reasonable amount of time here. And digesting some of this over the last couple of days has been difficult because we look at so many different aspects of Star Wars. I feel like my brain has been scrambled here, and I know we're missing things here. And this is something that warrants coming back and revisiting and relooking. But this whole idea of the gray, I'm really liking it, man. Like, I really like where they're going with this. I think it's super cool how they're evolving this whole train of thought when it comes to the Jedi.
Yeah. I'm lost for words here.
In this trailer here, let's talk about some of the other really cool shots and imagery that we got in this. We did get a really nice look from the back of General Leia. She's looking at what looks to be potentially Luke's map from whatever rebel base that they are on, or resistance base that they're on.
And you hear whispers of Leia or someone talking.
Yeah, so throughout this whole thing, I think there's also a quote in there from Obi-Wan and some Vader breathing as well. When we do see
during Kylo Ren's mask.
Yeah, so what do you think that's about, Kylo's destroyed mask?
It makes sense. I was pretty sure we weren't going to get the mask anyways, right? He's kind of broken out of that shell. We do see a slight scar above his, I think, right eye.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Same eye as Anakin's, I believe, actually. So that's pretty cool. He still has his lightsaber, which looks awesome.
Yeah, it seems to me that this is right in line with the character. He's gone through some sort of fit of rage. My guess is that he was kind of staring at the helmet and looking at maybe some sort of failure. That he wasn't able to stop Rey, or he lost to Rey, and so he feels that he needs to embrace something different. Now, whether that's not wearing a mask or whether that's an entirely new mask, right. That would be pretty cool. I think we need a masked villain, though. Maybe that's what Phasma is going to be for this movie.
Right.
But
or Del Toro.
Who?
Or Benicio Del Toro, even maybe.
Oh yeah, very right. Interesting. I like Kylo's mask. I think we need something to that effect in here, and I'm hoping he's not running around with the kind of the Goldilocks, the flowing locks, and all that for this whole movie. I liked him masked up. He seems more menacing that way to me, at least.
I agree, and I think it solidifies this. There's no redeeming this character. I think he's set on that dark path. I don't think he's coming out of the darkness.
No, I don't think so either. I don't want him to have a redemptive arc. Like we've had the redemptive arc with Vader. I think this character just needs to be straight on dark side, straight on evil. We do see some cool imagery too with what looks to be a complimentary shot to Luke with his hand on R2, and we do see his the Jedi school, what looks to be burning. This is going to come back to the Kylo story as well, and I'm hoping we get some insights into the Knights of Ren, or maybe even seeing them. They could be my masked villains for this movie. And hopefully they come as like lieutenants to Kylo, and we see a lot more of them. Even maybe a battle with them and Rey, and maybe something with the Resistance, like kind of almost like this like commando type thing, or this elite force that kind of sent out by Supreme Leader Snoke to try to capture Luke Skywalker once they figure out where he is.
Yeah, okay, liking it.
Yeah. So there's also a couple shots here of the Millennium Falcon flying over what looks to be Arc-2, which is the planet that Luke is on. So we know Rey and Chewie took the Falcon here, and they're being chased and also shooting down TIE fighters. My guess here, again, I guess we should have said spoilers, but you kind of get the point of it. My guess here is that a lot of this trailer is from the first 40 or so minutes of the movie, and that's the First Order, almost said Empire there. The First Order actually finds out where Luke is and ends up mounting an assault on the planet, and then there's some sort of battle again with the Resistance coming to the aid of Luke. I'm not sure. I think there's going to be something a bit bigger there, and that's eventually why we're going to get Luke coming off planet. and rejoining the Resistance to some degree. But the battle, I think we get a little look at the battle between the First Order and the Resistance when we do see what look to be the B-Wings with the red streams coming at them. And in the distance, you can see the AT-ATs.
Oh, man. Whew.
How great. Like, the shots in this, man. Gorgeous.
Oh, man. Just cinema at its best, just looking at this trailer. I mean, obviously, you watched the trailer on your big screen, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Right away you mentioned, and just looks fantastic.
Yes, and this might be, we've seen heard a lot of rumors of that there's a fight or an assault by the First Order, very reminiscent of Empire again, so playing on some of the similar themes that we've seen. But there is a fight that does lead to Leia being injured, and I think this fight is going to be pretty early on in the movie, and this is how the First Order is actually going to obtain the map to Luke, and that's what leads them to Arc 2 and then kind of pushes the rest of our movie. But it does look like they're going to spend quite a bit of time, at least at the start of the movie, on Arc 2 with Rey and Luke training. We do see some of that voiceover at the start. But we also see some just beautiful shots from a distance, these helicopter shots of Rey training with Anakin's lightsaber, with Luke looking over her. Like, I can see your face on Skype right now here, man. But holy man, like, just incredibly done.
Yes. Yeah, it just looked fantastic. I follow Daisy Ridley there on Instagram, and I've been keeping up with watching her training videos going on there for The Last Jedi, and just to see her whip around that lightsaber just looked incredible. I know there's been a lot of speculations of people saying, hey, is that Yoda that they see kind of standing around? I think it's just rocks. I don't think it actually is Yoda, because of course we could see through it. He'd be transparent. But it's all speculation. It's all cool. But I love that sequence of just Luke's just being the Grandmaster, watching over his student, and she's just going to town with that lightsaber, and it's Anakin's, of course. So I love it. Love that scene.
Yeah, this whole movie, this whole trailer has given me everything I need. Like, I don't need another trailer. If they decide they were going to pump anything else out, I'd be cool with it. We got some shots of Luke and Rey, got the voiceover of Luke. We do see a shot of Finn here in that kind of containment pod or whatever.
Some sort. Yeah.
Yeah. And we got a few shots of Poe running towards his X-Wing as it kind of blows up. So we've seen all the characters in this, with the exception of Chewie, I believe, and C-3PO.
Right.
And we don't know much about the story. That's what's great about this trailer. And one other shot I just want to quickly talk about too was the shot of Phasma being flanked by the stormtroopers walking out of the burning building or whatever it is. They made that look like it had to do with Luke Skywalker's school being burnt down. I don't think that is. That's just clever trailer editing. I don't think she has anything to do with that whole fall of Luke's Jedi Order. But again, because we're getting the books, the comic books, I'm expecting this character to come back in a big way in this film. And again, using that chrome, using the way she's strutting through the flames there, they just nailed the imagery of this character. And I'm excited to see more of this. And that's why I'm excited about the book, because I think she's going to play a big part in this film. And I want to know as much as I can about this character before going in.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Looks fantastic. Going back to what we were just talking about, I know this is a little off topic, is Rebels we were just talked about, and I mentioned a character that I think isn't going to die. I think he's going to make it out, and that's Ezra. Do you think, because there's a certain character, a certain actor that wasn't in this trailer, which is Benicio del Toro, this rumors have been going on for a while, do you think that could be Ezra, and that's why there's so close-lipped about not showing this character? And this is, Rebels last season, so it's like, again, the end of Rebels, it kind of comes out, or it's coming out around the same time as the Midwinter season break will come out at the same time as Last Jedi. Could there be a connection between those two?
Well, it's even interesting that you say that about the timing of everything, because if Rebels doesn't wrap up before Episode 8 comes out, it's going to be very confusing, because we're not going to see the end of Ezra's character until 4 months after Episode 8. Right. So that could throw everything out of whack there a little bit, unless they decide to end Ezra's arc by the winter finale, which I just don't see them doing.
Right.
To connect it all up. But maybe, you never know. Like, it may be the appropriate lead into the Episode 8, or The Last Jedi here, with Ezra's character. So, interesting speculation. I'm not really buying that right now.
Yeah.
Just because of maybe how that lines up. I never really even thought about that until you mentioned it.
I've been hearing little whispers about that one, but who knows?
That would blow my brain apart.
Yeah, it'd be pretty crazy, because the age kind of lines up actually with him and Mark Hamill too. So,
oh man, that would be something else. That would be something else.
Right.
Oh, man. All right. Well, before we wrap up this trailer discussion here, let's quickly talk about this last line. And it comes from Luke Skywalker. This is the line that has been throwing everyone into just hysterics almost. But he talks about, or he says, I only know of one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end. First question here. Is this an actual line from the movie, do you think?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Sorry, not Dave Filoni, but they did. I think Ron Johnson confirmed that it is Luke 2 that does say that.
Yeah.
So those are words from Luke. But 100%, I think it's in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. Because sometimes with this clever editing and what they've done in the past, they've thrown or done voiceovers over portions of the film that actually don't line up with the actual film itself. We saw it in The Force Awakens. We've seen it in Rogue One. We've seen it all over the place. That it's about making you think one thing and then you get your ass in the seat and it's something completely different. I agree. I think this is really trying to say, look, guys, something big and different is happening in this movie. And this is very much it. And I think it's less about Luke going to the dark side. And it's like we talked about at the start of this trailer breakdown. It's about an evolution of the Jedi. The Jedi that we know has to end. Mm-hmm. And it begins again with Rey, something different, whether they're called Jedi or not. That's going to be seen in the movie. I think it will be, but it's about going back to the roots of the Jedi. And I think that's what the Journal of the Wills, kind of the books that we see on R2, this is the original temple. He's gone back to the original scriptures and said, look, this is the fundamentals of the Jedi, and this is what we're going forward with. Everything else, it's kind of like you look back into religion, right? There's the original scripts, and everything's gone through some sort of like telephone tag where everything's been reinterpreted. We've put in certain things to control certain populations. We've changed this because we have to change it because it doesn't fit with the time anymore, or we want to do something different. So if we put it in this book, people will listen to it. That's, I feel, that evolution of the scriptures of the Jedi have gone, and he's gone back to the start and said, look, we're starting from here again. We're starting from basics. Here's the fundamentals of the Jedi, and we're going to work from this, Rey. And I think that's what Luke's been all about. That's why he's kind of been off on this hunt. We see in the comic books even, he's always been chasing these Jedi temples, these artifacts, trying to figure out and piece together what he knows about the Jedi. And, realistically, you look at, he had, a couple days with Ben. He had a couple days with Yoda, or whatever long it was.
I guess they say actually he had a lot of time with Yoda, I guess. I guess they say on Dagobah the time's different.
Oh, okay.
Weird thing about that, but yeah.
So even if it was 6 months a year, so yeah. He's getting the teachings of Jedi that have kind of gone through and are in that new frame of reference, that new frame of mind as far as Jedi here. And I think going back to the original scriptures is the way to go. And I think that's what he's done. He's kind of searched out all of this. And I think there's a lot there, and there's a lot they can do in this movie. I don't think it's going to be concluded in episode 8. I think we're going to get a taste of it here. And it's going to be all about episode 9. It's exactly what happens to the Jedi Order, to Luke Skywalker. Yeah. Question for you. Do you think Luke is going to die in this film?
No, I don't think so. I think that'd be fair to say that he would, or most people to believe that, but I don't think he will. I think Mark Hamill's definitely going to stick around for at least episode 9. I think he might even pass that. I think he's going to make it out of this movie. 100% he's going to make it out of this movie. I say you don't kill Luke Skywalker. No.
You don't think he's going to go down the path of an Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he kind of sacrifices himself and then becomes a Force ghost that appears periodically throughout the next film or two?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, because he'll definitely become a Force ghost. He must know how to do it. Obviously, hanging out with Obi-Wan and Yoda and Anakin now even. Yeah. So, but I just don't see him dying in this film. I think we might get a battle, though, hopefully, between him and Snoke, because that's another character they haven't showed off yet, is Snoke. And what I like about this trailer, too, is that kind of backs up that other big theory out there that what if Snoke was the original Jedi? And Luke is in reference talking about that Jedi has to be the one to end. They have to end that era of the Jedi. I just don't know. Yeah, there's a really cool theory out there. I've been liking that. Snoke was the original Jedi, and the Jedi that we see in episodes 1, 2, and 3 have actually gone so far from the teachings of what Snoke has actually done, and Snoke has now made his return to bring back his Jedi. So it could be a battle between the Jedis. So who knows? Yeah, it's crazy. Let the speculating begin with this trailer. But no, I do feel Luke's gonna make it out of this episode. I think he'll make it out of episode 9 too. It's hard to say about episode 9 because we just don't know anything about that yet. So, over under, what do you think? Luke's going to make it out? Or is he going to bite it this episode?
I think, I don't know. I think he's going to go the way of Obi-Wan, to be honest
Right.
with you, in this
Force
movie.
Ghost.
Force Ghost in episode 9 and wherever that goes beyond. I think that's the direction they're going with Luke. He's going to have a big presence in the movie, maybe almost as much as Harrison Ford as Han Solo did in The Force Awakens. They're going to give him a proper send-off, but I just see him going kind of the sacrificial Obi-Wan Kenobi way, and then he ends up being a Force Ghost in the following the subsequent movies. Whether that's episode 9, 10, or whatever it ends up going to. I think he's still going to have a presence, but just not in the physical form.
Right. So the Alec Guinness.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Nice.
Very much so. And that allows episode 9 to be Rey's movie the same way that Return of the Jedi was Luke's movie.
Right.
They were always about Luke and the Skywalkers, but I feel like Return of the Jedi was more about Luke being the Jedi. And I think Rey needs to have that movie. And I think episode 9, if you're kind of going through and paralleling some of these figures, geez, some of these characters throughout the, using the original trilogy as somewhat of a blueprint, not copying or kind of cutting and pasting things. But if you look at how they progress those movies, I think that Rey needs her own movie, as whether it's a solo Jedi or something different. And I think episode 9 could really be that.
Nice.
So
looking forward to it.
Yes, it's going to be incredible. And this was a ton of fun talking about this. And I know we kind of barreled through everything here. And I'm hoping that as we have time to simmer, marinate on some of this, that over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be coming back to this trailer. We're going to be coming back to what was announced, what was released, as more of this kind of percolates through our minds and we're able to come up with different theories. We get some, a little bit more with the books as they come out in September. And I think this is something that's going to warrant revisiting time and time again. I don't think this is something that we're done talking about by any means. So I don't want you guys to get the impression that we skipped over things, or we missed things, we didn't theorize or speculate enough. We're going to be coming back to this a lot. Same with the Season 4 Rebels trailer. And we're going to be coming back every single week talking about this, I think, up until December. Star Wars Celebration was a ton of fun, even from far, far away. I still felt that pent up, that anxiety of these trailers and things being released. I loved watching it on YouTube. I felt that experience. Shout out to the Commonwealth for everything that they did. It was a ton of fun watching there. And I gotta say, Troy, or I gotta ask, what was your favorite part of the Star Wars Celebration Orlando weekend?
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. It's probably a toss up between Mark Hamill's panel and the 40th anniversary. The 40th anniversary just kicked off so well, and got to see everybody pop up there, from Billy D. Williams to Hayden Christensen,
Harrison
Ford, right? Everybody popped up, and George Lucas looked like he had a lot of fun up there.
Yeah, he did. That was a cool appearance.
It's a great appearance, and he is proud. And then obviously John Williams coming out to top off Carrie Fisher's tribute was incredible. Just incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those two were my favorite. How about yours?
Yeah, I'd say the 40th anniversary panel. I watched that kind of live. That was just incredible to watch, and the fact that George Lucas got such a warm reception, and Hayden Christensen and Harrison Ford got this massive, this rock star welcome. Mark Hamill, everyone out there, even Billy Lord, like her reading out the "Help Me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." Like, holy man, that was just haunting and beautifully done. So I have to say that's my favorite panel. I love the action figure reveals. The book reveals were awesome. But this Last Jedi trailer, man, this had to top it off for all of us. This was awesome. We expected it. We got it. They delivered. Cannot wait to talk about this more. Cannot wait to see these action figures drop and get into some of these books. I got a long way to go. Got a lot to catch up on before I actually get into Phasma or any of these other books that are dropping with Force Friday. But we got a couple months here to kind of get through some of this. And yeah, man, what a weekend. What a great, great weekend. Even though we were a million miles away, we were still able to experience it as if we were pretty close to being just outside the doors there.
Yeah, fantastic. And that poster. Gotta give a shout out to that poster.
Oh, yeah, man. Unreal. Incredible.
Yeah,
such a vintage vibe to it, and looks beautiful, so subtle, but just speaks to you so much. Really awesome. Does. I think I've said incredible about 1 million times, and I think that's a perfect place to end this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure talking Star Wars Celebration. We're going to be coming back at you guys over the next couple of weeks, looking back and kind of reinterpreting some of the stuff that we talked about here today. We're going to be getting into some figure reviews as these things start to drop out. And also, we're going to be revisiting another space opera. Guardians of the Galaxy comes out in a couple of weeks. Next week, we're actually going to be looking at our Thor retrospective. But with Guardians coming out, like we always do with these films, we're going to be doing a prelude episode. We're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic books and kind of revving everyone up, doing a bit of a prelude episode there into this movie. And then we're going to be doing our full review the Thursday after that. So be sure to check back here next week for our Thor MCU retrospective and for our Guardians of the Galaxy review and prelude episode. We're also going to be dropping a few bonus episodes because next weekend is the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. Troy and myself and Sanjay are going to be down on the floor there. We're going to try to gather up a few people and do a live, I say live in air quotes because I'm going to record it on the floor of the Calgary Expo and then pump that out to you guys as a bonus episode early in the week, probably on Monday or Tuesday following next weekend. So make sure you keep it locked here on the Nerd Room for all your Star Wars and nerd news. We'll be returning in a couple weeks back to our normal formatted episodes. So make sure you guys keep it locked here in the Nerd Room for all your nerd and Star Wars news. Until next week, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
And thank you for entering the Nerd Room.
This has been a Nerd Room podcast production. You can find our hosts, Tim and Troy, on Twitter at TheNerdRM and Troy TheBoy87. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nerd Room on iTunes, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search the Nerd Room Podcast. Be sure to head over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com to find other podcasts on the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, including Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, Tumbling Saber, Rogue Squadron Podcast, and the Skyhopper Podcast. Follow the Star Wars Commonwealth on Twitter at SW Commonwealth and take your first steps into a larger world.